BlackberryOS.com here. I'm here at BlackBerry Jam Americas 2012. And to the left of me is Sean Paul Taylor. He is a team lead of gaming R&D at RIM. And he's involved in all the gaming, everything that's going on with the BlackBerry 10, with the Playbook. Sean, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. So I've been at RIM for a while. I used to work on advanced graphics and part of the actual graphics stack that we were working on, evolving throughout, leading up to, and then ever since the QNX acquisition, we've been deeply involved. We have a gaming R&D kind of engineers that are experts in various fields like OpenGL, audio, physics, and just deeply exploring the platform to make sure it's battle tested for game developers and that the platform is there to give the best experience. Yep.
Cool. And now, I want to touch base on a few things with you. First thing I want to go over is in gaming, the social aspect of it's huge, right? And people want to know what's coming to BlackBerry 10, what's on the Playbook now, and one of those things is Scoreloop. And so, tell us a little bit about that.
Cool. Yeah, Scoreloop is. They're obviously doing very well. Before we made the acquisition, they have millions of users that was a lot of the fabric of their community. But acquiring them and bringing them in really was a good fit for us. So BlackBerry users are heavily social users, are probably the most social of them all. And so whether they're doing BBM, and it's interesting to tie that in. You saw now in the Dev Alpha B, there's the game apps that's actually on there. You can it doesn't really, it's not totally fitted right now with everything that you're going to see, but it gives you a little bit of a glimpse that what you can actually see will be who you are, your top games that you like. So that creates what you're trending. And because of that, it's going to create kind of a social DNA to because you want to know what games your friends play, right? And an app world can help you find things, but it's great if you know what your friend likes. And so you're kind of working together to find the best games, and which things he doesn't like. And so from even from in the games you play, that's one aspect. But then it goes beyond that. It gets into the rivalry between you and him, and whether he beats your award, and whether or not who's got the kudos on the other guy, and so that really is good. And what that does is it creates a lot of revenue in ways that you wouldn't expect. So from a business side, you'll probably hear Anders talking about that, saying you need to take this seriously. And so by putting that app on there and enabling the games, you'll start to see an evolution of a different type of social fabric that's going to happen. That's it's as social hopefully as BBM will be, and but it's going to be a filter in a sense of it's not all your BBM users. You go in there and you actually, it finds you automatically for BlackBerry ID. You're actually then it's going to gamify you in a sense. And then what happens is basically your friends that are BBM, they're gamified. You now have a different kind of filtered network of game buddies there and games that you like. So it's gonna take on a life of its own, I think, beyond this. But this is just the tipping point that's gonna work well already right out of the gate.
Right. And so you don't need to necessarily go anywhere. It's just gonna be right on the platform, right through App World and everything. You won't have to find it through Facebook, whatever. If they post something on Facebook, you don't have to wait till then.
That's right. Yeah. So that can be definitely a portal for you to go over to there to get to your gaming friends, right? It's funny. In today, I've seen people that the only way that they can get online with their friends is to go onto whether it's Steam Gaming and their friends only chat there. That's their new messaging online and PC. But this can be that entry point definitely, or consider that.
Very nice, yeah. Well, I'm excited for that. I want to touch base on you, Visual Studios. Tell us a little bit about that. What is it doing to help the platform and continue into BlackBerry 10 and such?
Yeah, with Visual Studio, we really try to understand the game developers and what they go through, and so we ask a lot of questions as well. You got to ask the right questions, I think, to make sure that you understand the user and what kind of tooling they want. And so I think when you look at game developers, there's a big fork in the road of whether it's, do you even use an integrated development environment, IDE, or are you a command line kind of guy? And we really have to respect kind of the preferences of the game developers and how they can be effective and efficient. But there was a strong pull towards people that like iterate on Windows and in Win32 environment as their baseline, and then they do multi-platform off of that, all the variants. And so they can buy, and they use Visual Studio for that. So, and then they have build scripts to build all the different variants, or sometimes they boot into, and they have to even boot into like Xcode to make their iOS version, because they know they need to go cross-platform. Well, we were like, well, let's just make this easier. We will make an actual Visual Studio full integration plugin that actually is connected to the NDK and actually uses the compilers and the linkers and the make systems that basically make it as shortens the life cycle as much as you can of the development. And so what we've done is in Visual Studio, you're able generally to, there's targets inside there. And so we've added a BlackBerry and a BlackBerry Simulator target. You can then change and have a different set of library paths and libraries, because then they're different, they're ARM right on the device. Or, so you'll have a different location of those, and usually for cross-platform, your headers would pretty much be the same, and you'd probably have some potential preprocessor macros, or you'd understand what R's are for the platform, and you'd have that separation of the code. But once they're doing this anyhow, this is what they're doing. But in Visual Studio, it's set up in that environment. We honored the way it was done, and so you'll get everything you use in Visual Studio is as you would expect it. It would be like you build, and you're going to see the GCC compiler calls into our NDK. If you get a compiler error, you'll double click it. It'll go right to the line of code. It'll have all the code complete goodness that you have in the code and site stuff. It even has debugging. We actually did debugging, so you can actually debug live on the device. Some platforms don't let you do that, like on Android. This is not really a great environment for that. It's something people talk about. So, and I'm not trying to bash. It's just it is a truth that and so having that there is just like you can iterate fastly on Win32, and then as you want to go over to BlackBerry, you just drop down the Dropbox and you go off to the device, and it'll like actually deploy right there. And we've even gone to understand saving of time. The life cycle is really important. That if I change tree.png in my forest of my game, I don't want to repackage the entire game. And I don't because the game may be 400 meg game, right? So we make sure that like only the assets that I've actually changed get redeployed and sent across.
Very nice.
And so it actually dramatically speeds up.
You're not sitting there just waiting for it to compile your app or whatever.
Yeah, and we've done that in Mementix as well. Like it is put in there as well. So it's something that we thought about, and it just naturally we were able to do it as well in Visual Studio.
And speaking on the developers, what you're talking about with developers, you're making things easy with Visual Studios. You're making it easier for them. I mean, I've heard something about developers are converting, they're bringing their games over, just within like a day, or doing it in a few hours, in some cases of certain games, and so.
Yeah, what we've seen is, it depends on the code base. We've been involved in a lot of code bases. We've helped out with a lot of engine technology and porting, and we've even done porting for recently, some people don't know, Fmod is a professional studio software that you can actually buy and use, and like Galaxy on Fire 2 HD, it's using that, and it actually uses more advanced features that aren't really included in OpenAL, and that if you want to like have voice sampling and mixing and all that, they have studio software for all that, and it's actually supported now in BlackBerry. I contributed that back to Firelight Technologies to Brett, and he said he was really happy about that, and that's a completely different, intimate, like a lot of these technologies, they have to do all the work, and so we know this stuff, so we might as well help them out and give them that. So I think that they are seeing a different level of kind of support with us because we're committed to this, and we learn from this too. It's not like we're not getting anything out of this R&D work. Like everything from we're architecting with non-game stuff because we know intimately like these pressing technology boundary points that are still sometimes relevant in whether it's a virtual keyboard or whether it's the UI rendering system and the stack down below, or the video system. So we're involved in that. We're involved in the choices in the hardware and what we will need for not now, but like actually next year's hardware, and what will be the upper common denominator for that game developers will want to go after to make a really competitive and immersive kind of game.
Very nice. I also want to touch with you on just the consumer base as well. I know you guys, you're working you were talking to me about it, before, where you expand on a little bit, how you're helping the consumer base, how you're responding to feedback in gaming and such. I know you were saying something about the actual touch function on BlackBerry 10 and Playbook OS.
Yeah, we just talked about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, even from a user, I think what we so last year our goal was to make the easiest to develop. I think we did a good job. If you probably look at the catalog on the Playbook, I think we did relatively well entering in the market and bringing so many games up online in the app world. And they're hopefully the good titles that people are liking. But there's many more titles, and we're super excited about that. Now, what we want to do with this year, our mantra is really to make sure that we understand our user base for BlackBerry 10 users and who they're going to be. And I mean, what we know about our users is that they're serious about everything they do. I mean, like they like their BlackBerry because of its quirks and its goodnesses and all the different things about it. And I think that they're busy people in their life, but gaming completes the circle a little bit as well. So they're going to play games. I mean, this is a serious part of any mobile user's life anyhow. Whether you, like there's the little time slices that you want to kill some time and just enjoy your life in there. So I think when we looked at the Playbook, we said, look, there's some problems with the bezel. So when you're playing, you'd see sometimes you'd get some peaks here and there, and they would be popping out and stuff. Yeah. So BlackBerry 10, we already were changing anyhow a lot of the user experience. We were involved to say, well, look, the right side no longer has a bezel gesture, the top doesn't either, and we can put some stickiness potentially on the bottom and on the peak side when it's a core.game category, and that's useful for game developers because it'll be harder to be interrupted, yet you can still naturally kind of
you're not that way when you're going like this with your thumbs and you're going crazy and you're playing the game. You're not
when I do not want to die right now. Like, I
hate that.
So you got to use the thing, and we get this feedback from the consumer. That's right, and play a lot of games, right? Like we play like.
And I was excited to hear you tell me about that too, because that's something that even me as a consumer, I noticed. And then when you were talking about and telling me you guys are working on it, that's awesome.
It's those little things, they matter. I mean, we obviously don't have a button on our.
Thank goodness, I don't want a button.
Well, and so we have to think about it in different ways, but we want to be smart about it and make sure it works and try it. So we're trying things and we're iterating and evolving on that. So we don't want to introduce something and completely change about it. At the same time, we have to introduce something that works for all types of apps and games. So we haven't stopped here. We're gonna keep pushing the make sure that experience when you are playing serious gameplay and you're kind of committed that it's going to be good for you and you enjoy that one time when you're there. Like, leave me alone.
Great.
Kinda. So
well, and so we're going to see a lot more big stuff come out then for gaming.
Oh yeah.
We got a lot to look forward to.
I'd love to tell you more.
So I know you can't tell us, but I just want to reassure I know that, and so just to let everybody know, that just what we've seen has been amazing. Come out with the Playbook now. People are generally a BlackBerry, it's not a gaming device, but it actually is a great gaming device. From what I've experienced, and I would be excited to see a whole bunch more stuff come out. So,
well, and we're excited. I mean, because as we talk to these technologies that are pushing to be enabled in different ways on the platform, they get what we're doing. That's a little difference. I mean, whether it's we do samples and stuff like that, we go back and we look at the samples we make and we talk to the game developers and they say, your sample, you didn't really show this aspect of it, and that's important to me. So we understand what they're saying and then we iterate. We don't leave the sample for like a year, like maybe another platform might have the same sample there. We'll iterate it. It's not, and so we have. It matters to get it right all the time. So we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. And this is my area, and I'm passionate about it. So that's good. And everybody at the company is adrenalized that way, I think too. So you'll see more of that.
And you and Anders make a great team too.
Yeah, we do. He's a great guy. He brings them in and understands the strategy on how to really make their game make a lot of money on our platform as a premium platform, right? Like, this is not like a platform where your game is going to get stolen all the time. Really, like, when we see things like that happening, we act quickly and change that and make sure that like you're making money on the platform. So premium gaming is still a reality on our platform, and when the volume is picking up, I think it can change to a freemium based model. But I mean, right now, people are making good money. So Anders and I are working together to make sure that we can have the platform ready and enabled for the types of things and the business skills that he wants to do to bring the titles in and make sure that they can, get the right titles to the right users and understand the user base and what they can do differently on our platform to be differentiated.
Very nice. All right. Well, thanks for spending some time with us
Yeah, no
today,
problem.
Sean.
It was great
Appreciate it,
talking
man.
to
The game master of RAM here. So, all right.
There's many of us. It's not just me.
Yeah, right.
I have a team of strong engineering ninja minions there.
Ninja minions.
These guys are the power users and
Yeah.
power programmers, and yeah, they're awesome. So